This is Tom Biernacki, and today we're talking about the 7 worst foods for your joint pain. So knees, hips, feet. We're talking about all of this. We're backing it all up with high-level studies. And then as a bonus, we're going to give you the best foods to absolutely replace them with. And don't worry, it's not just vegetables. And we're starting right now. So make sure you stick around to the end because we're going to be giving you the clinically proven beneficial things that you can add to your diet to make your joints feel better. And we're going to be first starting with the different types of arthritis. So number one, everybody thinks of osteoarthritis. So this is missing cartilage. So we used to think that this was just from being overweight and your joints rub and grind to dust. But really, there's a lot of metabolic components to it. There's also gout. Gout is the buildup of uric acid. This is usually in your big toe joints, your ankles, your feet, and certain types of food can cause gout to build up. And these are crystals that basically act like razor blades in your joint. You also have rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, psoriatic arthritis. These are all autoimmune diseases where your body attacks itself. The more you can lower those inflammatory cytokines, the better it will be for your body in repelling these. And lastly, I always like to include diseases like diabetes because with high blood sugar levels, this stiffens your tendons. And this is proven over and over. So you got to make sure to control your metabolism because it gives you stiff joints, stiff tendons, and makes your body attack itself and razor blade crystals in your joint. So here's the foods. We're starting number one with processed foods and meats. So specifically the meats. These are your lunch meats, your bacons, your ham slices, jerkies, and your smoked meats. So the reason is there's something called ages. And what ages do is they accumulate in your body. They have been linked with pro-inflammatory cytokines. So that's inflammatory markers in your body that lead to increased inflammation, joint pain. It's been associated especially with colon cancer, not just arthritis. So if you need more reasons to avoid these foods, that's one of them. This has been shown to increase interleukin 6, homocysteine, C-reactive protein. Processed meats are bad. Good healthy meats are always welcome. Number 6 in our countdown is alcohol. So alcohol has been shown to be beneficial in the Mediterranean diet. So there's some studies that say a glass of wine a day or so is good. Where it starts getting bad is for women, 2 glasses a day, or men, 3 glasses a day. So that's a standard beer or a standard glass of wine or a shot of alcohol. So that's where you want to cap it. It seems a little bit high to me. So 15 drinks a week for men seems a little bit high to me, but hey, that's the studies. So it's 10 drinks a week for women or 15 per week for men. And you don't want to go more than 2 or 3 per day. And this is associated with, again, pro-inflammatory cytokines, pro-inflammatory markers. It affects your gut, creating a condition called leaky gut. You don't absorb other good nutrients quite as much. So not only does it create bad inflammation, but it prevents good absorption of nutrients that battle those inflammatory markers. So processed carbs are number 5. So the glycemic index, basically the bad level on the glycemic index, is foods that are simple sugars, so lots of straight sugar. So for example, a donut would be very sugary on the glycemic index. But on the other hand, an avocado, which is about 90% fiber, so in 11 grams of carbs, 10 grams are fiber. So that's something that passes through our stomach and is not digested by our body. That's pretty good on the glycemic index. So you want to eat more fruits, more vegetables. Those are pretty good on the glycemic index, but very high sugar foods like donuts, those are really bad on the glycemic index. So not only that, high sugar leads to diabetes, higher sugar levels. The higher the sugar levels in your bloodstream, the more stiffened your tendons get. So this is well known. The more sugar that is in your bloodstream, the stiffer your tendons will get. So that puts even more pressure on your joints. So your joints are going to hurt. And not only that, but if you're not getting enough fiber, you're going to get problems like hemorrhoids. You're going to have a hard time sitting. Your butt cheeks are going to hurt. You're going to shift side to side. So you want to make sure you get those fiber filled carbs, not those refined sugar carbs. These foods are your breads, your pastries, your flour, your sugar, your soft drink, your pasta. Number 4 is vegetable oils and seed oils. So this is a controversial topic as well, because I always get a lot of heat. And there's good oils and bad oils, but it's never black and white. But the idea is most of the bad oils are pretty high in omega-6 fatty acids. So most people have heard of omega-3 fatty acids, but not so much omega-6 fatty acids. Omega-6 fatty acids contribute to inflammation. And inflammation is good, but it should be omega-3 and omega-6 in about a 1-to-1 ratio. The average American diet is about 25 omega-6 to 1 omega-3. So we're not getting enough omega-3s. That means it's getting too high in inflammation and too low in anti-inflammation. This is a list of good fats. This is by Dr. Kate Shanahan. So her website's Dr. Kate, but she does a pretty good breakdown. This is a board certified physician who analyzed this. You got some good ones right here. You got your bad ones. I looked at like 10 to 20 different charts. All are by physicians or specialists or people certified to talk about this kind of stuff. And you know what? The lists kind of flip-flop back and forth for different reasons. It's because there's good fats, there's bad fats, stuff burns in heat. There's a lot of different reasons why you should and should not eat these oils. So the best bet, in my opinion, is to avoid them altogether. They did a study in rats, and if rats were over 20-to-1 in omega-6 to omega-3, then those rats had increased inflammation markers like C-reactive protein, and they had much higher rates of cancer. These oils are not black and white because you have trans fats versus omega-6 fats. You have saturated fats versus unsaturated fats. You have fats that basically create toxic compounds when they're on the frying pan. So there's a lot of levels because some people love certain oils even though they hate other oils, artificial trans fats. So this is where I used to make a mistake. Hydrogenated foods, these are your processed fats, like your popcorns, the microwavable popcorns, your margarine, your fried foods, French fries, your fast foods, your cakes, your cookies, your pastries, all the good food that I love are trans fats, unfortunately. Now, they did a study where good, healthy, lean cut meats and dairy, those are good fats that even though they're trans fats, they don't create as bad an effect on the human body as these processed trans fats. So they're not necessarily hydrogenated. And kind of my reasoning for this is it's in the body can break it down, whereas these artificial ones, your body can't really break it down, so it leads to bad processes. And not only that, but a really fatty diet leads to increased metabolic syndrome, so that's your diabetes, your fat around your waist, and that leads to increased inflammation in the body in general. Number 2, high fructose corn syrup. So this is pretty much pure refined sugars. So this is 45% glucose, 55% fructose. It's in very high concentrations, basically pure, simple sugars that are broken down. This is very high in the Western diet. So these are all your good foods, like your desserts, like your cupcakes, donuts, sugary foods, cheap cereals, cookies, sodas. Sodas are probably number 1. If that was a food, soda would be number 1. You're drinking pure sugar, pure high fructose corn syrup. So they did a study. Basically, if you had high fructose corn syrup in there, it led to increased inflammatory cytokines. So these are markers in your body that cause inflammation. They also did a study with high fructose diets in mice. These mice had high rates of cancer, much higher than normal rates. And then they measured the anti-inflammatory markers in your body. And basically, if you ate a high fructose corn syrup, such as all the stuff I mentioned, your anti-inflammatory markers went down like a rock. So they did a clinical trial of sodas versus milk versus water. Soda is the one that had horrible results. Milk wasn't that bad, water wasn't that bad, but sodas were horrible. Now the question is, can you drink a diet soda? It might not be the best for you, but it's still a lot better than a sugary high fructose corn syrup soda in almost all areas. And the high fructose syrup leads to obesity, insulin problems, diabetes, fatty liver, cancer, chronic disease. Everything goes up like crazy with all these sugars. I think that's undebatable at this point. And the special number 1 diet is for gout. I see this a lot, so I'm biased as a foot doctor, but I see gout in the big toe joint, in your ankle. If you wake up in the morning, your big toe and your ankle is throbbing, I've done surgery on these and it's like crystals, like legitimately like somebody poured sugar in your joints and people are grinding their cartilage. It's literally slicing up with that sugar, destroying the cartilage. Gout lasts 3 to 10 days. And what causes gout? Basically, it's a buildup of uric acid, but things you want to do is make sure you're well hydrated with water. Make sure you avoid all these sugary foods. Soda is a big one. make sure you cut down on the fatty meats. Make sure you cut down on shellfish, crustaceans. Make sure you cut down on sweetened foods. Make sure you cut down on sweetened juices. So I have a video that goes really in depth on gout, so I'm going to link that below because I could talk for 2 hours about gout alone. Don't worry, I wasn't just going to skip that. For good foods, you want to avoid high sugar foods. So that's veggies, cherries, dark berries, low fat dairy. That's what you want. What you don't want is stuff that dehydrates you, like alcohol. You want to hydrate, drink a lot of water. Avoid meats that are heavy in cells, because cells are really DNA turnover products that your kidneys can't excrete. And you want to avoid the sodas, the high sugar syrups, the high sugar drinks and foods, the refined foods. Skip all that. Now we're going to get into what you should be eating instead. Those are 7 bad things for joint pain and arthritis. But here's what's proven. Turmeric and curcumin. So I have a video about that, but turmeric and curcumin made my #1 list of foods. This is an Indian spice, and the Indian diet on average incorporates 2,000 milligrams, which is more than like supplements can provide. So this has been shown in high-level studies to basically cut down inflammation for the joints. #2, you want to make sure you're getting fresh fish and sources of omega-3 fatty acids. It can come from vegetables as well, but in lower concentrations. It's generally in salmon, freshwater fish. And what happens in this case is those omega-3s, I mentioned that 25-to-1 ratio, as close as you can get to 1-to-1, that's what you want. And especially be careful with the supplements, because sometimes the supplements are only like 10% omega-3 fatty acids. And if you're getting 90% omega-6s and 10% omega-3s, you're kind of wasting your money, in my opinion. So I linked some good ones down below, but these aren't my supplements, so do your own research too. Those are just some of my favorites. And what you want to do too is green tea. So green tea extract in a high-level study has been shown to help joint pain. So there's a ton of papers I found showing green tea extract makes a big difference. And also, there's a lot of things like collagen, supplements, a couple other things too. That's why I made a video where I talk about all the best joint pain supplements that can help, that avoid medications. And I link this here. But guys, that's kind of the big tips. If that helped, share this with your friends who have joint pain, and we'll see you at the next one. I care about you, and I hope your arthritis gets better.